Hello. What are your thoughts on the ongoing talks between John Kerry and Sergei Lavrov on the so-called Syrian civil war?
Syrian civil war. Well, that's a really tragic situation. Syria is simply plunging into suicide. And it's not easy to think of anything to do about it. At least I haven't heard anything sensible. The country is moving towards, seems to be moving towards partition. The Kurdish areas have become pretty much autonomous. Assad has left them alone. There's battles going on between the Kurds and the wide array of rebel forces. They're a unified group. And the Kurds have gradually established a region where they pretty much control it, not totally. In fact, they've even declared autonomy. They'll probably try to link themselves up with Iraqi Kurdistan, which is pretty near autonomous. But that's tricky because Barzani, at the head of Iraqi Kurdistan, is opposed to the Syrian Kurds. He's trying to make a deal with Turkey for all kind of economic reasons. And a deal with Turkey means suppressing the Kurds. The Kurds, like most groups, have plenty of internal battles. And how that'll work out is not so obvious. But that's one part of Syria. The rest of Syria is simply being partitioned. There's a part that's being increasingly controlled by the Assad forces, backed by Iran, Russia, Hezbollah. The other part is under the control of myriad rebel groups which are fighting among themselves. Meanwhile, the Syrian people are being decimated. It's just devastating. A huge number of refugees. The refugees are being... The refugees issue is a very striking issue. It's interesting to see the way it's discussed in the United States. Here we have what's called a huge immigration problem. We've got these people coming in. Why are they coming? So, for example, where I live around Boston, there's a big Mayan community. These are people coming from Guatemala, the Mayan highlands. Why are they coming to fleeing? Well, the region was subjected to a genocidal war, which the U.S. supported. Reagan was a strong supporter of it. Places destroyed, so people flee, come to the rich country, so it's illegal refugees. We have to deport them. Others are coming from Mexico, largely as a result of NAFTA. Predictable effect of NAFTA was wipe out Mexican agriculture. So what happens next? Okay, so we have these illegal immigrants. Obama has broken all records. He's deported almost 2 million of them. That's the U.S. Now, there are other countries, like, say, Lebanon and Jordan and Syria and Iran, where they absorb refugees. Huge numbers of them. Lebanon, for example, is a country of 4 million people. It has about 700,000 Palestinians, and by now about 1 million Syrians. Okay, for the poor countries, they're supposed to absorb refugees. Actually absorb the refugees that we generate. So the attack on Iraq created, nobody knows, maybe 1.5 million, 2 million refugees. Okay, they're absorbed in the neighboring countries like then Syria, Jordan, Iran, Lebanon. That's their job. Their job is to absorb the refugees that we generate. Our job is to drive out the refugees who we generate. And this is discussed. It's not the enormity of this. It doesn't even begin to be discussed. Maybe you can't do much for Syria. I don't know of a good proposal, but at least we could be taking care of the refugees. It's about 1 million of them in Lebanon. Why should Lebanon support them? We should support them. In fact, the battle in Syria has become a part of the growing Sunni Shia war around the whole region. That was inflamed by the United States. In Iraq, there's been simmering conflicts, but there was never a sharp Sunni Shia conflict until after the U.S. invasion, which created it. Now it's spread over the region. It's devastating large parts of the region. We have a large share of responsibility for it. We're the ones Council should be supporting. Well, these are things you could do. But apart from that, if anybody has a suggestion, I haven't heard it. In fact, about the only proposal that makes any sense is the Lakhdar Brahimi initiative through the United Nations, which Russia has supported, and going back, Kerry has mildly supported. It's a thin